Our next guest was just 22 years of age when she lost her leg to cancer, a diagnosis that was missed for months, leading to a swift decision of amputation. 7 years on, she has decided to redesign her life.
And redesign she did. She's here to tell us all about her cancer journey and her successful prosthetic design business, Wrapsthetic. It's Bernadette Hagan. Thank you so much for joining us. Did I say that right? Wrapsthetic.
Some people find it hard to say, but yeah, Wrapsthetic.
Wrapsthetic, I get you now. Wow, what a fantastic idea, because before we get into the questions, take a moment for that beautiful pattern there.
Cool.
It's absolutely amazing. I mean, they're just... the eyes pop, and it's important really, because when you lose something as important and vital to yourself, I know a lot of cancer patients might say, oh, my hair, or they lose that, but that can grow back when it's something as final as an actual limb. I mean, trying to get your head around it and make it into a fantastic business as you have takes a real strength of mind. Yeah,
even speaking of losing your hair, I think a lot of the people that are losing their hair through treatment, there's things available for that. So there's wig services and things to help them sort of cope with that difference. But for people that lose a limb, there wasn't really anything for them to help them embrace life with a disability. So that's how this all came about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely amazing. We've met before.
Yeah.
And I think you're an inspirational person. I said it to you the last time. I'll say it to you again, because of your attitude to the whole journey. But take us right back, because growing up, you have four brothers, so sport was a big deal in your house.
Yeah, it was. I was probably the sportiest out of us all, which I think my daddy and my mummy probably didn't expect. But yeah, I was the kind of kid that did a different sport every single day.
From football to GAA.
Literally football, Gaelic, camogie, netball. I did ballet for a period of time, even did tag rugby. But yeah, you name it, I've probably tried it.
Wow, it's just everything. That was your hobbies, your life, and that's what you did. But but when it came to, I suppose, your diagnosis, you were so young when that happened. Bring us through the symptoms and how that process was for you. Yeah,
I started feeling pain in my leg and had like a wee bump in it the summer, sort of before I actually went for the first appointment, and that was because the pain started to get a bit worse. The lump started to get a wee bit bigger, but I was also losing weight. So I went for my initial appointment then in the January of 2018, and at the time, me being a young girl that probably looked a bit healthy, I wasn't really taken very serious. So I was just told that it was a fat bump in my leg, even though I had lost...
Like a lipoma or something like that?
Yeah, I had lost weight, I had the lump in my leg, and I was just in a lot of pain. But it's just sort of pushed aside, I suppose. But again, I think that can happen sometimes when you're like a young girl, and I was there sort of...
You were pushed aside a couple of times.
Yeah. I started going back for a few months to try to get them to listen. But I just wasn't really being listened to. And then I had an appointment one time. I went in and I was in black skinny jeans. I'll never forget it. I was in black skinny jeans and a white work shirt. And at this time, my leg was starting to swell with fluid as well. And it was swelling so much that it was swelling under my skinny jeans and over my shoe. And I was saying, can I at least have compression ties to help this? And they said, I think your skinny jeans are tight enough. And I was like, that's not right. And I was using painkillers from someone in work at the time as well, and I said, well, can I have my own medication then at least to like help deal with the pain? And they said, just keep taking what you're taking, I think it's fine. Instead of giving me my own medication as well.
Was this the same place you were going back to all the time?
Yeah, this was my GP, you know.
Okay.
I feel like I was on a prank show, it was crazy. So again, they wouldn't scan me, and they said if I wanted to be scanned, I had to book another double appointment. So I booked another appointment again. By this stage, it must have been about 5 months of going back and forth. And then I finally got them to look again at my leg, and then they quickly realised something was actually wrong. So I was red flagged for the hospital, and I went to the hospital and had an ultrasound of my leg. And it was a young boy that was scanned at the time, and I remember he was trying to look to see where my vessels and stuff were in my leg, and he was getting a wee bit nervous. I could kind of see like his face change a wee bit, and I could see him changing between the settings to see like what was going on. He said, I'll be back in a second, I have to get a second opinion. So he went and got in like a higher doctor. He came in, did the exact same scan, and was like, I think we're gonna have to send you for an x-ray. So they sent me immediately round for an x-ray, and then at the x-ray they said I was gonna be sent for further tests, so I had to go for an MRI and a CT scan. So I went for those scans, and then I had to wait for the results, and I was told I would get the results in 3 weeks. So I waited 3 weeks, didn't hear anything. I waited an extra week, so a month had passed, didn't hear anything. So at this stage I started ringing the GP. And I said, do you have my results? I was told I would have them by now. They said, no, we don't have them, maybe try the hospital. So then I tried the hospital. They said, we passed that information on to your GP, we can't give that over the phone.
No.
Are you joking me?
Yeah, it's crazy. So I went back to my GP again. I said, do you have my results? Like, they're saying that you have them. No, we don't have them. So I thought, oh, well, no one has my results, they're just lost in the system somewhere, I don't know what's going on. So carried on with my life, and I remember one day pulling up to work, I just parked my car and my phone rang from a withheld number, and they rang me and said, you've got a tumour.
Who was it that rang you?
I'm assuming my GP. I don't actually know. I don't actually introduce themselves, so they just said I had a tumour.
A withheld news.
Yeah, and they said that I would receive a letter then to come for a biopsy. So then I went for my biopsy, and at that point then, no one in my family knew it the whole time. I kept it a secret because I didn't really want to worry anyone. And at the same time, I was being pushed aside so much. I kind of didn't know if I was imagining everything in my head. I didn't know whether to take myself serious at that point.
Gaslighting you.
Yeah. So I remember then at that appointment, I went for my biopsy, but I drove my car and I couldn't drive my car after because it was happening in my right leg. I couldn't actually press the accelerator anymore. And at that point, I rang my mummy and daddy and I said, can you come and pick me up or drive my car for me? And they were like, where are you? And I said, I'm at the hospital. And they were like, why at the hospital? And I said, because I've got a tumour.
So that's how they found it?
That's how they found out I had a tumour, but I was really bad to be fair. I kind of was like, oh, it's nothing, they're not even worried about it, like it's fine, even though I knew that they were really worrying about it.
Yeah.
So I kind of convinced them that nothing was wrong. So I started the gaslighting.
All right. Okay, so we know if action had been taken earlier, this mightn't have happened.
Yeah.
Which is very annoying. Yet your attitude is incredible. After that biopsy, you got the news. How quick from the biopsy to amputation?
Well, I got diagnosed then in the end of August, so it was about 9 months after my initial appointment going, I finally got a diagnosis. And then throughout September and October, they did different tests to see sort of if it had spread and how much of my leg they could save and things like that.
What was the diagnosis?
It was synovial sarcoma, which is sarcoma.
Nasty, yeah.
So my specific type is 1 in a million in rarity, so it was uncommon to be fair, but the signs of a sarcoma were there. So
so
crazy.
So when that happened then, I mean, after the months and months of thinking you're going off your head, basically, that you're imagining all this, from being told, yes, you have a tumour, to your amputation, which was pretty rapid after that, to life after that. How did you gather yourself up and come to where you are now? Because, I mean, you're an absolute bloody inspiration, I have to say. You're just radiating joy and happiness and positivity. And your business is fantastic.
Thank you so much.
How did you switch in your brain to get where you are now? Because a lot of people could tend to wallow with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think whenever you lose a leg, they always think that it will hit people immediately, and if it doesn't hit you, then they say that it'll probably hit you in 6 months or a year. But I've never really felt the downside of it. But I think again, it was even as soon as I got diagnosed, my mindset wasn't like, oh no, I'm going to lose my leg. It was kind of like, well, I've had 22 years with both my legs now. I get to experience life with a robot leg too. Like, that's kind of cool. So
life with a robot leg.
Yeah, so I just kind of tried to change my mindset, and I was thinking, well, there's children that have to go through this, so if they can do it, then I'm sure that I can too. And if worse comes to worse, I've had 22 good years, so I'll just see what happens.
That's absolutely amazing.
That's the attitude that we're talking about. Yeah, that positivity, that finding the light in what could be a very dark place. You not only decided, to embrace this and own it, you decided that I'm going to send some pictures off and I'm going to step into the world of modelling, which you did.
Yeah.
And that was pretty instant too.
Yeah, my life did a complete 180. I used to work in a bookies. I would just go to work and go home and didn't have social media or anything. But then me getting sick, as soon as I got sick, I recorded my reaction on a video. And that was because whenever I tried to Google things, a lot of the time there wasn't really an answer. And with my diagnosis, I was thinking, I want this information to be out there so that if some other person comes along after me, this is out there to show them that I've been through it and they're not alone. So I started social media to try to raise awareness. And whenever I was on social media, I saw this agency and they had posted this model with Down syndrome at the time, and I had never seen it before. And I remember just thinking, oh, that's so class. And I commented and they spoke to me and they were saying, oh, we've noticed you've just lost your leg. Would you mind coming over to meet us? And at this stage, I wasn't walking yet. So I was like, well, let me learn to walk first. And I was told it would take me probably like at least 6 months to learn to walk because I would have to learn to use a robotic knee. And they ended up getting in touch with me again. And I actually managed to get discharged in under 10 days.
Of course you did. No better woman.
I learned to walk too fast.
We've just seen you on the cover of Elle. And
on the catwalk.
On the catwalk. But please, tell us about this.
Yeah, so when I lost my leg, I said I wanted it like chrome silver, and it wasn't an option. So they say the best we can do is you maybe bring in a jersey and we'll mould it into it, or you can get it like a basic colour. And I knew that just wasn't me. I was like, I want this to look really cool. So I tried to make it possible. So I started trying to do it at home. So me and my daddy were trying all these different materials and seeing like what we could wrap the leg with that wasn't going to damage the leg. And the materials online just weren't the best. They were like really hard to use. They were peeling off and like stuff was sticking to them. It just looked awful and really crinkly and things like that. So I reached out to a car place and I was like, you really can wrap a car, do you want to try wrapping my leg? And the owner at the time, Carson, I became really, really good friends with him. He is amazing. And what drew me to him was he was just as excited about the idea as I was.
He was like, yay, something new.
Yeah, he was like, oh wait, that sounds really cool. Like, come on in and we'll see what we can do. So I went in, and then over the years we were wrapping my leg. We were trying all these different materials. We were seeing what worked well, what was easy to use, what lasted well if you were to fall and scuff it, like what's easily repairable. Just seeing what worked. And over those years, we were helping kids all across Northern Ireland, if they were not even just the north, to be fair, and in the south. Anyone that loses a leg or ends up in like a wheelchair or anything from a disability, we were fully customising that for them for free, which meant it helped them with their mental health process this change in their life, but it also helped us get the experience to figure out what actually works.
So now it's worldwide.
Yeah, that's the thing. We have people willing to fly over for us and everything, so we realised, well, not everyone has the access to get to Ireland, so we'll design a template. So we designed a template, and now we sell a template around the world.
It is your story is amazing, and what the leg looks great today.
Thank you.
But can you get that in bridal white or even cream?
Oh yes, you can. Oh my God, we're designing a whole bridal collection. I wish I had it with me.
Collection?
Yeah.
What she needs is she's getting married.
When is the wedding? It's soon, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh wait, I can't say it. Half the family don't know yet.
Okay,
but,
right.
Yeah,
Okay, the
2027.
wedding is soon. I won't say exactly when. And of course, you at that stage, your little boy would probably be able to walk you down the aisle.
Oh my God, he's walking. He's been walking from. He will learn just as fast as me. He was walking by. He was 10 months. He's crazy. He's running now. He just turned 1. So
Why doesn't that surprise me?
Your story is amazing and inspirational.
you.
It's
Thanks
great
so
to see
much.
you again. It
And
really
you.
is.
Thanks
Oh,
so
it's
much for
great to
having
chat to you. You know what? You've put me in great form because we had a morning of bad news and you've cheered me right up. Thank you so much. It's an absolute delight to talk to you today.
Thank you so
oh,
much.
how
Cheers,
lovely.
Bernadette.